It's a betrayal that was felt in homes across this country. A mother begging for our help to find her sons, only to discover she locked them into their car seats and then rolled her car into a lake in Union County.
Is the vehicle. We have officers looking everywhere around we can right now.
Even if you lived through it 30 years ago, you may have forgotten all about the yellow ribbons and the flyers taped to car windows. But Susan Smith's lies are something you never forget.
Okay, I was stopped at a red light, and just out of nowhere, this black guy came up and just opened the door and jumped in the car.
She claimed the man carjacked her children. Her desperate pleas quickly turned Union into a media circus.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much, and your daddy, this whole families love you so much.
You come from Richmond, Virginia?
Across the nation, people looked everywhere for Michael and Alex.
And not only just that community, but around the state, around the country, people were looking for that car, people were looking for the carjacker, people were looking for those kids, they were praying. They were setting up vigils, you know, and we're really thinking they're going to be recovered.
Over 9 excruciating days, doubts emerged. News leaked that Smith failed a lie detector test.
I would say I haven't eliminated anyone from suspicion at this point in time.
Her shattered husband, David, still trusting.
Yes, I believe my wife totally.
But his boys were rolled into the lake, where it took 6 minutes for them to sink, prosecutors determined. The only journalist to interview Susan Smith that night, our reporter, Cynthia Barnes-Booker, had a gut feeling.
But what I noticed that evening, she could not look me in the eye. She kept looking down. And after the interview, when Tommy and I got back in the car to head back to the station, I said to Tommy then, I said, I don't believe this story. I think she's lying. I don't believe it.
I just can't express it enough that we just got to get them home. That's just where they belong, with their mama and daddy.
That's the news conference from Air 7, folks. On the 9th day, agents interrogated Smith again. Then the sheriff took her to a church to pray. We have sources that are telling us there's been a confession in this case. In case you're joining us, News Channel 7 has learned a confession from the mother, Susan Smith, has been given at some point this afternoon. We spent hours on the air. This is a story that we have all been talking about since 11 o'clock on Tuesday night of last week, when we first broke the story at 11 o'clock. Then our worst fear.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of her children, Michael 3 and Alexander 14 months.
Affected everybody. It's affected everybody so deep. I think there's anybody in the county that hadn't prayed and prayed and hoped.
Sorrow quickly turned to anger.
I just wanted to see what did she look like. Who and what mother could kill her babies?
7 News carried the funeral for Michael and Alex buried together in a single casket before an aching community. The prosecutor, who thought Smith should die for her crime, says the jury was never told she'd have a chance at parole.
People always, you know, see the Smith case as a success for me, and obviously I don't see it that way by virtue of what I thought justice would have been with the death penalty.
Tommy Pope says even getting a conviction got complicated
Sheriff Howard Wells.
When the sheriff gave sympathetic testimony.
Half the sheriff's testimony, you know, because he was Susan Smith's godfather in a strange twist, half the sheriff's testimony was in mitigation for Susan.
The former prosecutor is helping David Smith fight Smith's parole.
Clearly from her behavior, her relationships with the guards, her pen pals, her sugar daddies waiting on her out. Susan has spent 30 years focused on what's best for Susan. And so I don't think justice has been served if she would get out now.
Smith's most recent violation behind bars involves a filmmaker and an exchange of money. Gordon, I know you'll have much more on that and what it takes to get parole.
A lot of questions to answer later this week, including why is she even eligible for parole and what are the factors that go into getting parole for her in this case in South Carolina. Our special coverage of that case, the parole hearing, continues Thursday, 7 News at 11.